Welcome to your new journey of an entrepreneur, hosted by myself, Joyce Van Setters, and my friend Pete Moriello. With over 20 years of experience, we will be exploring this world of innovators, providing insights and advice to aspiring and current entrepreneurs. We'll share stories of success, failures, and all of the lessons we learned along the way. Get ready to break out of your comfort zone, but on the other side of this, you will be forever free. Welcome to the Forever Free Space podcast. I am your host, Joyce Van Setters.
And I am Pete Moriello.
And together we created this space for aspiring current entrepreneurs to have thought leader tips and to build a community because we feel it's essential.
Yes.
Right, Pete?
Absolutely.
Don't be shy.
Never.
Today we're
we
excited
have a great guest
because,
on today.
yeah, we have a guest today that I'm excited about because it's fitness industry.
Yes.
Not that I'm not excited about real estate or any other entrepreneurial, but this is my jam. Today we have our friend Carlo Fillipone.
Well, hello, everybody. It's great to be with you guys.
Welcome, Carlo.
Thanks for having me,
I
Joyce.
should say IFBB Pro Carlo Fillipone.
Yeah, that's
Yes.
the title that doesn't go away, right?
Right?
Once you have it,
Yeah.
nobody's going to take it away from
That's
you.
earned.
And, well, yes, especially when I earned it,
100%.
it was earned. If you're in the fitness industry, you know that nowadays the parameters have been broadened in order for you to achieve your pro status. But back when I was doing it, I got one of only 7 pro cars that were awarded to men.
When did you become an IFBB Pro?
In 2007.
Okay,
Nice.
2007. Now, Carlo is not just an IFBB Pro. A lot of you will know him as the real muscle chef, and he's also the CEO of the Chicken Pound, which he's been doing since 2017?
2018.
2018.
2018 as the Chicken Pound, but I was in the meal prep space as far back as 2006.
Tell us how that got started. What
Sure.
made you go into meal
Would
prep?
love
Were
to.
you cooking as a child? Were you...
Yeah,
Let's get into it.
We got some time, right?
Yeah,
Okay,
let's go.
good. So, how did I get into meal prep? Well, I went against the grain and I went against what I thought I would never do, and that's be in the food business. My dad was an entrepreneur, and he owned his own pizzeria.
Okay.
So in northern Jersey, in the Weehawken / West New York
Weehawken.
areas,
Yeah.
he was in different places, but started his first pizzeria in 1980
Wow.
in Weehawken, New Jersey. Then he moved it to West New York, New Jersey.
Okay.
What was the name of that pizza place?
Angelo's.
Angelo's.
Still exists. We sold the business many years ago, back in 2004. But the way that all started was, my dad, again, immigrant from Italy, came over and worked various jobs for different people, different individuals. He would do factory work. At the time, they were doing, they call it piecework, like, you got paid by how many
Yeah.
shoes you press or soles you put on. So factory worker is essentially what he was doing, and he had this trade, knowing how to make pizza, so he would do that on the weekends and work odd jobs and make extra money for the family. And his goal and his dream was to always own his restaurant, his own pizzeria,
Okay.
which he did. He opened it up in 1980, and
awesome.
he did that for the rest of his career.
Now, did you work there as a kid making boxes and all that?
So I took a bus, yeah.
That's
so
like typical movie.
I tell,
right?
I tell people
Well,
this story.
my family background is pizza.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so I remember as a kid making boxes
I
for
didn't
my
know
uncles
that.
and stuff like
Oh,
that.
yeah,
wow.
you'll appreciate this. So
Yeah.
my dad, he was such a hard worker. He's, my wife will tell you that I'm the hardest worker she's ever met, and I'll tell you that that's my dad. He has that title, and I'm maybe a strong second, but 'cause I just love working. I don't think I'll ever stop, and I don't think I'll ever retire, especially
That's
now
entrepreneur.
with a small child.
Mm-hmm.
So when I was in 6th grade, I would wait at a bus stop and take the bus down to my dad's pizzeria, which was about a 40-minute bus ride from Cliffside Park, New Jersey to Weehawken, New Jersey.
Wow.
And after school, once I got there, it was probably around 3:45. Get out of school around 3:15 or so. So I would get to his pizzeria. My mom would be waiting by the window. She didn't drive at the time. And when I'd get there, I'd go in to the pizzeria. My mom would sit me down, let me do my homework, get me something to eat. And then I was answering phones, taking orders, and making boxes.
Wow.
And in 6th
That's awesome,
grade,
man.
and I tell this story, some people are like, well, that's kind of child abuse. Well,
No.
maybe in today's generation they can call it that,
Right.
but I have to be honest with you. I'm
It's
forever
learning
grateful.
skills.
Yeah, forever grateful to my parents for the work ethic that they instilled in me.
Absolutely.
Because without it, I would have gotten nowhere in this world, really.
So you were around the food industry business at a young age.
I was, yeah.
Then you got into the bodybuilding world.
So here's how it went. In high school, I didn't mind the pizzeria business. I didn't really know how my dad was doing. All I know is that we went from an apartment to a home, and then my mom got her license, and now we had 2 cars.
Wow.
And then when I
Moving on
got
up.
my license, I got a car. And then my brother, who's a year and 3 months younger than me, he got a car.
Right,
And
so
now,
something was happening.
Right. Yeah, I was, I guess, aware enough to know that, we went from this 2-bedroom apartment, with a family of 5.
Right.
And now we live in a 4-bedroom home.
Wow.
And, in a nicer area. And we have a backyard. And, we don't have to park our car on the street.
Right.
And all of this stuff. So I knew that good things were happening. And that being said, being from immigrant parents, my parents didn't push education very much. It's not like they told us not to go to school or
Right.
didn't encourage us to get good grades. But my dad's attitude, quite frankly, was if you don't want to go to school, just go to work.
Yeah.
All right.
And, that's kind of what got him to where he went and where he got. And he had said the same thing to us. And, that
School
being
didn't
said,
look so bad, huh?
well, I wanted to give it a shot, and I did. And I went and I did my 2 years at the community college, and business admin, and then I wanted to be an accountant.
Right.
And to be honest with you, and the working out, by the way, at this point wasn't really prevalent in my life. I would
Okay.
go to the gym here and there, but I wasn't really big into fitness
Okay.
or big into working out. I enjoyed working out, but I would be the typical let me train for the summer kind of
Okay.
guy
Like
and be
just
done.
lifting weights.
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
Okay.
But one day I'm going past my dad's kitchen table where he would sit down after everybody finished eating, and he would pull out his paperwork and do some numbers. And now, having been in school, now I know what numbers look like. So my dad doesn't have an accounting background, so it's not like he had a chart or graph.
Right,
or,
right.
So he has numbers on a piece of paper. So I go, "What's this number?" And he goes, "That's gross money." I said, "What's this number?" He goes, "It's net." So I looked at the gross, I looked at the net, I go, "What am I doing in school?" and I go, "Okay." So I remember going to sleep that night, and I was just like, "Carlo, you come out of college and accountants make $25,000 a year."
Yeah.
It was 1988 or 89.
Wow.
And I said, you want to come out of school to do that, or do you want to just go work with Dad and do that? So I thought about it for a bit, and I said, you know what? Before I get into any other educational programs, let me go to work with my dad for a little while. And that's what I did. I worked with him for another year, for a whole year, and I enjoyed it. I enjoyed working with him, and
Were you helping him with the money side too, the
I
business
did.
side?
Yeah, I did wind
Nice.
up taking over that, and then, to be honest with you, things got even better, just because I had that little bit of a fresher attitude.
Yeah.
Different perspective.
I brought in and enhanced the menu development. I went out and, I had a cooking background.
Okay.
I was stuffing eggplant when I was 4 years old,
Right.
guys.
Wow.
My mom was Sicilian, and
And I
it was
know it
one
was
piece of
good.
cheese,
I know it was good.
one anchovy, one sprig of parsley, one
Right.
clove of garlic. It was. This is what you're gonna do. You're gonna help me. And I was the oldest
Right.
son. I was the firstborn.
Okay. Right.
So of course I got to sit
Right.
and help my
You
mom
were in
with all
charge of
this
the
stuff.
line.
Again,
Right.
forever grateful, and you'd be amazed. My mom babysat my daughter today as I had business to take care of.
Oh.
Awesome.
And she called me up, and my mom is a 73-year-old, still off of the boat, Sicilian woman. And as a matter of fact, the joke within my family in Italy, because my mom's entire family is still in Italy, so I go back and visit them often. The joke with my family in Sicily is that she's the only one left, even in Sicily, meaning that she's so old school
Right.
that she's more old school than the
Than they are,
Sicilians that
yeah.
are still in
wow.
Sicily.
That's
and she's here, right?
That's funny.
But my mom was excited to tell me how Nina helped her with the cooking and folded the laundry. And did
I
all.
love it.
She's 4 years old.
Well,
And,
listen, she's
That's
already
very
getting her own YouTube channel going.
yeah,
So.
so I hope so. Yeah, but the food came natural to me, and then of course as I got more and more into working out, which was on a dare. Okay, Joyce, you would appreciate
Yeah.
this. The way that I was able to couple the health and fitness with the entrepreneurship was really on a dare. I was doing some powerlifting.
Okay.
I had a friend who is, and he's probably going to listen to this or see it at some point, but he was a little bit of a smug jerk, if I
Okay.
can be honest with you. You know, just a typical big guy, very
Yeah.
strong. And, you know, I guess he saw me in a tank top or something like that and was like, oh, you look pretty good. How much you bench? And I was like, 245. And I was a little guy. I
Right.
was so probably weighed about 150 pounds.
Oh, wow.
You know?
Okay.
And he's like, yeah, really? You should come to the gym. We power lift every Tuesdays and Thursdays. We bench. And I said, well, you know, I've never really been in a gym. I actually did all of my working out in my home basement.
Okay.
That's what I was doing. I was
Wow.
19 years old, or 19 going on 20. And
That's
he
a
invites
pretty
me.
nice at-home gym, 245.
Yeah, I had some weights. It was fun. It
Yeah.
was. I enjoyed the challenge.
Yeah.
And I didn't know anything about working out. So to me, it was just going and getting under a bench and working out or doing curls.
I love it. Yeah.
You know, forget the back, the legs. I didn't do any
Right.
of that until I really got into it and
Right.
understood what bodybuilding was,
yeah.
right? But he invited me to the gym, and you know, it only took me a little while to find out that he invited me in there because he didn't really think I could do 245.
This is a challenge.
You know,
Yeah.
I actually wound up because you know the home gym setups. I didn't have the Olympic weights. I had these sand weights.
Right.
So
Old
imagine
school.
like this
Yeah.
bar
Yeah,
was
yeah,
a
yeah.
You
smaller
had the
bar,
Rocky
and you had to
Balboa
load up.
setup.
So once I got in the gym, I was like, this is easier than it
It's
is at
lighter.
home. Well, because it's an Olympic bar,
Right.
it's easier to
weight
balance,
is
right? The weight is
distributed
distributed differently.
Yes.
It's not on your wrists and your
Right.
forearms. You know.
You probably went up in
Well, yeah, I
weight.
did.
Yeah.
I wound up doing 255 for 2
course,
reps, and
sure.
he was just like, "That's amazing! I
Right.
can't believe you did that." You know. And they got me into. They had me join their powerlifting team, and I wound up in a couple of powerlifting meets.
Oh, cool.
And listen, by today's standards, it's not a big lift because the shirts that they're using and all
Yeah.
of this
Oh,
gear
yeah,
for
yeah.
powerlifting is ridiculous.
Yeah,
it's
Back then, they had these little Inzer shirt that, like, it was kind of like a straitjacket that you put on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hated it. And I think my best bench at 148 in competition was like 310.
And you weighed 148. That's
I weighed
fucking
148.
amazing.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
yeah.
amazing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was
it is.
pretty strong. But I'll tell you what happened. I'm in this gym, and you know, again, I turn around, and if I get involved in something, and this is probably where that entrepreneur mentality comes in. If I get involved in something, I want to learn as much as I can about it,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
I want to know everything. So now I'm going, guys, what do I eat?
Right.
You know, we had a meet then, you know, on a Saturday, and I'm like, guys, what are we eating tonight? Like, what do we
Right,
do
break it
for our
down.
How do we
diet?
prep for it, right?
Yeah.
Right. And he goes, oh, you just go eat pizza or Big Ziti or something. So I'm going, pizza or Big Ziti? I'm like, all right. You know, so I'm
Simple.
Italian. That's not a problem.
Yeah.
I
Right, I
own a
could do that.
pizzeria,
No,
right?
just
So I
on
ate pizza,
Tuesday?
Big Ziti. And man, I all I remember is I was getting stronger, but I was looking worse
Yeah.
Yeah.
and worse. I actually liked the way I looked when I wasn't as strong.
Wow.
So I had a conversation with the same friend, and I said, listen, I said, is there anybody who can help us with our diet? I said, I don't, you know, and again, you know, please remember, you didn't go online and
Yeah,
find
you
information.
had none of
Right.
that stuff.
You had to wait every month for a publication in the
Exactly.
magazines to come out.
Or you
get
had to
any-
ask somebody who knew better than you.
Or, right. So here I am going to the gym for the first time. I thought these guys knew more than me.
Right.
And what I quickly realized is they didn't know very much.
That's why they brought you in
they- you know, well, you know, at the end,
Yeah,
they were all
of
asking me
course.
for diet advice. But so one day we went in and I was training, and in walks a guy strutting. And he takes his T-shirt off and he poses. He hits a front double bicep in the mirror. And I'm like, oh my God. Joyce, you might know who this is. I'm going to give you the name in a minute because
Okay.
he's a really good friend
All right,
of mine.
I'm intrigued.
Yeah. And he hits a front double bicep, and I'm sitting there, and I just stop. And he's only a couple of years older than me.
Okay.
And he hits his front double bicep, and I go, who's that? And he goes, oh, that's Tommy. And I go, how does he look like that? He goes, oh, well, he's different. He's a bodybuilder. He's getting ready for the Mr. New Jersey next Saturday. So I go, okay, I want to look like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, you don't want to look like that. You know how hard it is to look like that? I'm like, I don't really care. I want to look
Right.
like that guy.
Right.
Right.
You know, Tommy Jimenez
Yes, I do know. him.
is
Yeah.
who he is. Okay. So he winds up going to the show, and then they invite me, same crew. They invite me to go watch the prejudging.
I love it.
Never been to a bodybuilding show before in my life. I knew nothing about it.
Were you
I-
like the minute you went to that show and you saw the people competing? Were you hooked?
So I'll tell you how that went. Okay. Now, mind you, I had seen a couple of different bodybuilding magazines because I did have a friend in
Okay.
high school who was
Yeah.
totally into it. And he used to try to get me into it, and I couldn't. But I remember seeing an episode, not an episode, a magazine cover with like Leela Brada and Bob Paris.
Yes, okay.
And Jeff Smullen was the other guy. And these three guys were on the beach, and it was a silhouette of the three guys. I was like, that's beautiful. I was just like, their physiques were, the silhouettes were so beautiful to look at. I was like, I want my silhouette to look like that one day.
Exactly.
Anyway, so we went to this show, and again, I don't know what bodybuilding is. I really didn't. All I know is that guy walked into the
And you
gym,
wanna look like
and I wanted to look a little bit like him.
Right.
And so when he got on stage, I didn't see him on stage, but the categories went like this. There was a bantamweight class, and there was a handful of guys, and I really looked up on stage, and I said, and it's important for me to mention how I felt because that'll come back in the story.
Absolutely.
I looked at the bantamweights and I said, okay. Lightweights come on, and I was like, okay. And then the middleweights came on, and I was like, oh, okay.
Right.
Now these guys look like bodybuilders,
Right.
right? And I'm watching, and two guys stood out to me in the lineup, and they wound up finishing first and second, Vinny Galante and Tommy Potenza.
Okay.
And they wound up finishing first and second. And then the following week or 2 weeks later at the Junior USA, they wound up finishing first and second again.
Wow.
But I was totally impressed by them. And then there was a light heavyweight and a heavyweight class after that. There was no super heavyweights at the time.
Right.
And those guys looked good.
Isn't it funny how you had that eye for those two and they came first and second?
Right away.
Yeah.
It was so obvious.
Yeah.
And, I wound up judging the shows later
Yeah,
on. So it was
absolutely.
kind of like something that I think I've always been able
Yep.
to be good at. But to the point, after the show, everybody congregates in the lobby. If you've been to a show, you know
Yeah.
the deal. We're congregating in the lobby, and as the guy who's the least experienced, I know to say what? Nothing. You say nothing. You
Right.
just listen, right? If you want to learn,
Right. You
just
listen.
listen. Don't
You
talk.
listen.
So I'm standing there just listening, minding my business, thrilled at the invite that I got to go watch this show. I'd never been to something like that before.
Right.
And no, I didn't say I want to go jump on that stage.
Okay.
Because I didn't know what it took
Right.
to get on that stage.
Right.
But they went around the horn, I guess, and everybody talked about it, and it came to me and they said, hey, what did you think? And I said, well, I didn't really think that much of the bantamweights and the lightweights. I said, but the middleweights on up were great. So I got a response that I really didn't expect. And to this day, my friend denies, same friend, by the way, that asked me how much I benched. He denies ever saying this. But he said, he goes, are you effing crazy? I said, what do you mean? He goes, do you know how hard it was for those guys to get up there? I go, no, I don't. I
Right.
said, I'm just telling you that from a bodybuilding
Right.
perspective.
My thoughts.
I really wasn't that impressed with the bantamweights and the lightweights. I thought that the middleweights on up were great.
Right.
Well, if you think it's so easy, you should do that. You give it a try, and then you see if you have something to say about. I didn't say anything negative. I just said that I didn't think that.
Right.
So anyway, now he's embarrassing me in front of all these people, and I'm like, ay. So I'm sitting there. I said, okay, and he wouldn't stop. He really wouldn't stop. So I got to the point where I said, okay, I'll tell you what. I will figure out what it takes to get there, and I will get there. I said, I'll get there. I don't know what it takes. I said, but since you're challenging me,
Right.
I'm going to figure it out.
Wow.
Challenge
Well, that was April 1992.
Wow.
By July 1992, I entered my first contest on my 22nd birthday, and I placed third in a lightweight novice class
Wow.
Oh, that's awesome.
of the physique.
Of course you did.
of
You
course
figured
I
it
did.
out.
And in April of 1993, I won the bantamweight category
Wow.
at the
Oh,
Mr.
that's
New
amazing,
Jersey.
man.
So I figured out what it took. I learned
Was your
how
friend
to do
there
it.
to see you win the bantamweight?
Yeah, except he wasn't that
Okay.
he wasn't that enthusiastic
Okay.
about me winning.
Of course
well,
not.
you know what, Joyce, and this is true right to business, right? You have a shop and you're doing okay, and then along comes a newcomer. And he's implementing different strategies, doing things a little different than you are,
Right.
maybe willing to work a little harder, maybe willing to keep the place open for a couple of hours,
Right.
maybe willing to work 7 days a week instead of 6,
Right.
maybe willing to not take a vacation for a year or two.
Right.
And now he's beating you, and now what are you going to do? You're going to talk about his pizza sucks.
Yeah, he's an
You're going to
asshole.
talk about how his
Yeah.
service is overrated.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You're not going to talk about how willing
putting
that
in
person
longer.
is,
Yeah.
right? So now I was the guy who was willing to go out and learn how to eat right. I was the guy who was willing to do cardio when you were telling me I shouldn't be doing cardio because it makes you weak.
Right.
I was the guy who was willing to understand and stop guys who were bigger and better than me.
How did you learn?
Okay, so every month I would go to the little newsstand on 50th Street on Bergen Line Avenue in West New York,
Yeah.
and I would buy every new magazine, and they would all come out on different dates.
Love it.
So I would buy one, read it, and I would learn, and then buy one and read it, and I would learn, and you find out later on that most of it is nonsense anyway,
Right,
and
Yeah.
they'll
right.
have
But you could
ghostwriters.
take little gems
Right,
from
but I was
it.
taking exactly. I mean, my first diet was yogurt, chicken, and potatoes.
Oh my God.
Right, and I would switch back and forth, and then to make things worse, the owner of the gym. The other thing is there was a really popular gym on the East Coast, still there by the way, Strong and Shapely Gym in
Okay.
East Rutherford,
Oh, yeah.
and it was a fairly well known bodybuilding gym, and I would
very
always
well
see
known.
it right. I would always see photo shoots of it in the magazines.
Right.
And living in Cliffside Park, New Jersey, East Rutherford was only a 20-minute ride.
Right.
So I had said, you know what, I'm going to start driving over there and work out there. I'm going to join that gym, and this way I want to see who these bodybuilders
Wow,
are.
you were all in.
Yeah, it was. What I didn't know is that those photo shoots were done probably 6 or 7 months prior.
Yeah, prior.
Yeah.
So here I
Exactly.
am,
Right.
Waiting for
in the
these guys
middle
to
of
be in there, yeah.
not bodybuilding season, hoping to
Right.
run into anybody, and there was nobody there.
Right. That's
Or there were guys who just really weren't getting ready for anything. But I did. The owner of the gym, who was they were husband and wife at the time. They were married. They were very, very nice people. Bob Bonham and Debbie Bonham were the owners, and Debbie particularly took a liking to me because she would see me there every morning, 6 a.m., and I would always
Putting
be
in the
kind of
work.
looking around.
Yeah.
But she watched me, and she started to watch me change. And one day she just stopped me. She said, "Carlo, what are you doing?" And I said, "I don't know. I'm trying to get ready for a show in July." I said, "I just don't know if I'm doing anything right." So she said, "Well, let me see. Pick up your shirt." And I was just like, "Oh, again, being 1988, I was like, oh, this woman just asked me to
Right.
pick up my shirt, and there's people walking around, and I was
Right.
so embarrassed." But she said, just take the shirt off. So I took the shirt off. She goes, "Yeah, you can do this. You look good."
Yeah.
I said, "Okay." And she says, "What are you
You
doing?"
were
And I-
training yourself?
Training myself,
Okay.
yeah. So she says to me, she goes, "You really just want to?" When's the contest? And I told her about 3 or 4 weeks out from the contest, and she said, "You're going to think this is crazy." She goes, "But if you really want to be 100% in shape, she goes, just eat tuna fish and potatoes." And I said, "Okay." So I literally ate
Tuna fish and potatoes.
6 cans of tuna fish
day.
and potatoes for the
God.
last 3 weeks, every
You're
single
like
day.
the trainer's dream.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I've taken something from everybody that I worked
Yeah.
with. Later on in my career, I hired some of the best in the industry. And had some good and bad experiences with all of them.
Yeah.
But certainly, between what I learned to do and what not to do,
Yeah.
it became a lot of fun. It was.
It became intrinsic motivation.
It did. I mean, I've just recently got back into working out seriously. It's been about
Yeah.
2.5 months now.
Yeah.
It's important because I haven't put 2.5 months consistent into training and
In
eating
a long time. Okay.
since 2008.
Okay.
So it's been years between
Okay.
building the business,
Right.
different businesses that I've had, and then the family, getting married 5 years ago, having
Yeah,
a
of
daughter,
course.
and all of that. It's really consumed me because,
Wow.
again, I'm all in, right?
Yeah.
So if I'm all in on being a dad. If
love
if
it.
I have the business, I'm all in into the business. If I'm
I
your
love
husband, I want you to have the best husband in the world.
Wow. Right.
So for me, and it's been difficult too, because I'm now separating from the two people who I love spending all of my time with,
Yeah.
which is my wife and my daughter.
Yeah.
So I don't have a lot of free time to begin with because I'm always trying to figure out what
Right.
I'm doing for work and
Yeah,
figuring
work-life
out the next
balance.
best thing,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
So when whereas I would get home at 5:30, 6 o'clock, 7, whatever it was,
Mm-hmm.
I was in the house for the rest of the night, and my wife and my daughter had me
it.
exclusively.
Got it.
Now what I do is I've learned this little trick. I just go to bed with my daughter. So my daughter
you
goes
go.
to bed 8:30,
That's
9
a gem.
o'clock.
Yeah.
I go to sleep with
Go to
her,
sleep early.
and I get up at 3 a.m., 3:30.
Wow.
I'm at the gym by 4:15,
Wow.
and I'm back
Is
home
the gym
by.
close to you?
It's only a 10-minute ride.
Okay.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's
all
only a 10-minute ride. They open at 4 a.m.
It's awesome.
So I'm there, one of the first ones there, and get done what I need to get done and get
Get
home.
in and get out of
Do
there.
you
yeah.
feel like you getting back into working out 2 months consecutively has helped your
1
business?
million %.
Yeah.
Oh, 1 million %.
Right?
1,000,000%. We're so ready for 2024.
I love it.
We're going to punch it right in
I
the
love
teeth.
it.
Yeah.
Tell me how the chicken pound got started. I
So-
know you did meal prep before that,
Yeah.
but this one specifically.
So and thank you for that. Yes, so we did meal prep before that. In 2018, early in the year, it was funny. I was in the shower. And I'm saying, and I was selling chicken as part of the other meal prep company, by the way.
Oh, okay.
I just wasn't selling a lot of it. And I
Right.
couldn't understand why I wasn't selling a lot of chicken.
Was
right?
that called Chicken Pound?
The
you had
previous
different
company was Elite Lifestyle Cuisine.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so we had Elite Lifestyle Cuisine, and we had chicken breasts on the menu. And
That
we
was you.
sold
That
some.
was you by yourself. You had a partner on that.
That was me by myself.
Okay.
Yeah, there was a company that we had. I can tell you the name because it's defunct, but it was In Motion Meals is
Oh,
the
I know
previous
that one.
company. So that's the company that we started in 2008.
Oh,
And,
okay.
You know, I said this off the air, but
Yeah.
I started putting protein and carbs into black dishes back in 2005 in
Wow.
a
You're the
small gym
OG
cafe
meal
in
prep.
Fairview, New Jersey. I like to think so.
Yeah.
So we started a company in 2008. 5 years as a company, we expanded greatly, and then once the company grew and the business grew, there was three of us, and three of us really couldn't agree on the vision for the company.
Okay.
And of course, there was all of the other complexities that come with running a
Partnerships.
business and
Yeah.
partnerships, right? So we decided to separate. They went their way, and I started Elite Lifestyle Cuisine. So it was a part of the Elite Lifestyle Cuisine brand.
Right.
I was selling chicken breasts because I knew that a large component of our business was bodybuilders,
Right.
People who knew the importance
Protein.
of,
Yeah.
the most important commodity for us is
Right.
what? Protein, and here it is, right? So I just kept shaking my head and wondering why I wasn't selling more chicken. We were doing okay with the meals, but I wanted to sell more chicken because
Right.
I knew the value in it. And then I said, you know what? If you're going to sell chicken, I said, what do you need it to be? And it's definitely needed to be convenient. We were selling chicken as a whole breast.
Okay.
So it's not inconvenient if you're a totally driven mental case.
Yeah.
Because you grab the
Here I
chicken.
am.
Yeah.
Right, you grab the chicken breast and you drive and you bite it,
Right.
right?
Yeah, of
I
course.
did that for 15 years, so
Yeah.
I don't know
Yeah.
Nothing wrong
what's
with
so
that.
what's so hard about it.
Right.
But if you have any kind of finesse, and I'm not saying that we don't, but
Right.
you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And you have to eat in front of people. It's not always the most ideal
Right,
situation for
right.
you to grab a chicken breast with your hands
Right.
and eat it
Yeah,
at the conference
100%, yeah.
table,
Close
right?
your eyes.
So I said, all right, so it has to be convenient. So what's the first thing? We want to be able to make it so that people don't cut it,
Right.
right? So I said, okay, so we'll cube it. And then what else?
You cubed the breast?
We cubed the chicken breast.
Wow.
Yeah. So instead
That's
of
amazing, yeah.
grilling them
Yeah.
whole, we cut them into cubes.
I love it.
So again, the products like that are available. You can go to any
Right.
supermarket and there's
Right.
cubed chicken breasts.
But I would take
However-
that and be like, I could use it as salad. I could use it
Correct.
as this. And-
Correct. But the difference between what we do is we cube it prior to grilling. So
Wow.
instead of grilling it and then cubing it, we cube it prior to grilling. So now you got charring all around the outside and the exterior,
I'm hungry now.
which gives it a nice texture on the outside
Yeah.
and keeps the moisture on the inside,
Yeah.
right? But anyway, back to the story. So here I am saying, I know I can sell chicken. How many meals did I eat? How many meals did you eat of chicken every
Right.
day when you were getting ready for your contest?
6 to 8.
Right. So here I am. I'm saying I was doing 7 to 8 ounces at least 4 times a day. So I'm
Right.
like, I'm good for 2 pounds. Exponentially across the country, how many people are looking for 2 to 4 pounds of chicken a day?
Right.
And why don't these people have a place to buy it?
Right.
That's
That's amazing that you thought of that.
Thank you.
That clicked.
And then at the same time, the meal prep space was blowing up. So you had other people coming into the game, and it
Yeah.
weren't just, what you had in meal prep back between 2000, especially between 2012 and 2015,
Yeah.
was an explosion of the Mama's Kitchen boys,
Yeah.
I
Yes.
call them. Everybody's doing meal prep, but they're doing it at home.
Yeah.
I mean, it was crazy to
Yeah,
me.
they would
I had
buy in
2
bulk,
former clients, because I
the
did some
plastic.
coaching, bodybuilding coaching. I had 2 former clients who started their own meal prep companies out of their homes. And I just turned around and I grabbed one of them. I said, what are you doing? I said, come work for me. I'll give you a percentage.
Yeah.
Do sales. I'm like,
Right.
you understand what you're doing here? This is
Right.
not easy.
Absolutely.
So you had an explosion of the, Mama's Kitchen meal prep companies that were growing. But there were a lot of other people who caught on. And there were people who were investing some serious money into the space. And the space, right?
Investing money as far as
Well,
packaging
well,
and marketing?
larger players in the space.
Okay.
Yeah.
So people who understood the benefit and that people actually were into buying prepared meals.
Okay.
And then you had the other types of meal prep companies that were Blue Apron, Plated,
Oh, yep.
Hello Fresh.
Yes.
Some of these companies still exist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so they were coming into the space and they were providing you with the recipe cards. So all of that was kind of, creating a road jam,
Yeah.
a roadblock in there. Because now
They
here
were
I am.
re-engineering it.
They're coming in with investment money, hedge fund money.
Yeah.
Right, and they have the ability to advertise that we don't.
Right.
We're self-funded. I started my own businesses.
Right.
I
Were
didn't
you
bring
specifically advertising to the bodybuilding world?
Not at
Or
the
you-
time.
Okay.
As a matter of
Got
fact,
it.
when I was
All right.
with Elite
I'm
Lifestyle,
ahead of you. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no,
Okay.
it's okay. When I was with Elite Lifestyle Cuisine, I actually tried to avoid the bodybuilders, if I can be honest with you.
Wow.
Gotcha.
And I wanted to serve mainstream people, and we had dishes on the menu like lasagna. I would make a whole wheat lasagna pasta sheet. I had a company
Right.
that would make those just for me.
Okay.
Make me whole wheat lasagna pasta sheets, and I would grind up chicken breast, put low fat mozzarella in there. And,
Oh, wow.
those were
that.
the
I
meals
didn't
that
know
I
that.
served.
Right.
Cool.
Turkey meatballs with rice.
Right.
So I tried to make recognizable menu items.
Right.
Stuff that you'd want to order when you were out.
Right.
But I
Yeah.
made them healthier.
Right.
And we did well with that, and that concept worked well. And again, going back to how I conceptualized the chicken pound, bodybuilders weren't logging onto that website because they were bodybuilders.
Right.
Right.
And they saw lasagna on the homepage.
Right.
You
That's
look
a
past
no.
it,
And
right.
they're going, I don't want a
Right.
It's not
lasagna.
for
I
me.
don't
Right.
want
That's my
meatballs. I
cheat.
want clean chicken.
Right.
I want clean proteins. I want this. So, again, when I structured the idea, I said, well, you got to do it. You got to call it something else. You can't just sell it as part of that brand.
Right.
You have to rebrand and create a whole separate company, a whole separate idea. Because if you continue to sell it under Elite Lifestyle Cuisine, it's going to fail, and
Right.
you're not going to sell a lot of it.
You came up with this rebrand yourself.
Yes, yeah.
Love it.
So that's what we did, and once I had the idea and the concept, because I said, okay, we're going to do chicken, but now are you going to sell plain chicken, or are you going to flavor it and season it? And I said, let's do a whole menu of different flavors.
How many flavors in total?
We have 10 now, but we
Wow.
started with 6, and then we went to 8, and now we have the 10. So we have, if you don't mind me going through them, I have a
course.
plain.
No, not at all.
Give
We
it
have
to
a
me.
plain, which is extra virgin olive oil, sea salt, and black pepper. We have a pre-contest plain for all the competitors, so that has nothing. It's just straight up chicken
Right.
breast.
And they
That's
do
what I
with
got.
it
And
what
they do
want.
whatever they want with it. You
Right.
can't blame me if you mess up
Right.
your diet, boys and girls.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
It's all your fault.
It's your
The product
fault.
is clean. We have a teriyaki made with low sodium soy sauce.
Okay.
We have a balsamic vinegar flavor. Balsamic vinegar from Italy,
Truly.
extra virgin olive oil, sea salt, all clean ingredients, by the way. No phosphates,
Yeah.
no added
Of
sodium
course.
phosphates, no corn syrups and any of this
Better
stuff.
not be. You're the muscle chef.
Yes, it's correct, right? So we do the balsamic, we have a cilantro lime, we have a lemon herb, we have a conventional Kansas City style barbecue.
Wow.
And then I have what I call it like an Italian barbecue,
Okay.
which it doesn't have any molasses, it doesn't have any brown sugar.
Okay.
So it doesn't have any of the typical barbecue stuff, but it's
What
a
do you use
tomato
for a
base.
sweetener? Okay.
Tomato base and organic honey.
Okay.
Wildflower honey.
Nice.
So, and minimal ingredients.
Yeah.
I mean, it's barely, it's really couldn't be considered a barbecue sauce.
Right.
But it's the closest thing I can
Right.
call
Well,
it.
I like
It
how
does
you
have
labeled
a
it or
smoked
branded
flavor.
it Italian
Yeah,
barbecue
yeah.
because of the sauce.
Correct. And then we have a jerk flavor, 11 different seasonings in that. It's
that's my
crazy
favorite.
good. Yeah, very nice. Has a kick to it.
Yeah.
And a buffalo flavor.
Okay.
So, that's your menu line right there. We have an Italian style meatball that we sell. It's in some of the supermarkets here in Monmouth and Ocean County in Jersey.
That's,
Oh, wow.
that's delicious too.
The meatballs are good, and soon we'll have. I had some meetings I shared with you guys off camera on Long Island. We're looking to introduce a chicken breast burger,
Okay.
which will be strictly
Wow.
chicken breast, sea
But
salt, black
burger.
pepper
Wow.
in a burger patty. There'll be quarter pounders.
Oh, that's awesome.
I gotta check you out.
Yeah. Take a look. And then-
It's
You're
awesome
doing this
comes-
yourself, or now you've built a team?
Well, we built a team now.
Okay, got
because
it.
our facility's smaller.
Yeah.
So the food space is it's unique.
Right.
It's different, right?
You're in
And
a
it's-
real food space. Like
Oh
a
yeah. We
USDA.
have our own commissary. We have our own place.
Love
We
it.
have our own kitchen
Love
space.
it.
But to be honest with you, in 2024, we're moving away from any of our own production. It is now going to be strictly handled by co-packers.
Okay.
So what
Amazing.
happens is
You're moving on up.
we started right. Thank you. We started in our own facility. small. And to be honest with you, in order to do what we need to do, you needed to scale. In order
Yeah.
to scale, you
You
need
know
a lot
what
of
you did?
equipment.
You went from that apartment to that 4-bedroom
That's
home.
right.
Yes,
Yeah,
you did.
exactly. Thank you.
I mean, the
Well
company is
said.
awesome, man. I mean, the chicken comes right to your door, completely frozen,
Yeah, you
rock
use
solid.
them, right? I
Yeah,
heard
yeah,
about
yeah.
him through you. I mean, I knew who
Yeah.
you were because of some CrossFit companies I took. They were using your company, but Pete put me on.
Thank you both. But I think the concept is grand, and I didn't finish my thought with the burgers. Spinach and feta, again, all breast meat, and a cheddar and jalapeno, all burgers.
Wow.
So we hope to have those launched by mid-February.
Okay.
So today was the first taste test.
Nice.
Big,
How'd that go?
big
Congrats.
ups. Yeah, oh yeah, they did
Congratulations.
an amazing.
I mean,
amazing
can you
job.
go wrong with those flavors?
You can't. You
I don't
really,
think so.
really can. And I think when people try them, again, it adds another level to
Yeah.
what we're doing. And again, you want to talk about entrepreneurship. How do you continue to create product and product extensions that can help your top and bottom line, right? We got crushed between 2001 November to August 2022. You probably don't remember this if you're not in the space, but there was a spike in chicken prices
Yeah.
Yes.
across the country
Yeah.
that we expected to last for a month or two, maybe 3. It
Right.
lasted 9 months.
Exactly.
And what people don't know is we were in a real, pardon my language, shitty situation.
Yeah. No,
Because
speak.
we didn't have contract pricing at the time.
Oh, wow.
So when you don't have contract pricing, you're at the mercy
Yeah.
of the distributors and
Right.
your vendors.
You're fucked when that price goes
And
up.
nobody would work with us. Nobody would help us. So our chicken prices tripled.
Wow.
So, think about that. Think
Yeah.
about paying $1 for something and then all
Yeah,
of a
that
sudden
net
paying
and gross
$3.
looked a little different, right?
Right. And we're not talking about a $500 item. We're talking about a $10 to $12
Right.
a pound at the time. It was actually between $8 and $11 a pound item. So if you're paying $1, and I wasn't paying $1, it was
Right.
more than that. And that price tripled.
Yeah.
Wow.
Think about what your bottom line is going to look like.
Yeah.
So that encouraged me, right? You want to talk about learning lessons for
So that
entrepreneurs.
encouraged you, because I was going to say a lot of people would give up.
A lot of people would have given up.
Right.
Would have given up. Oh yeah, they would have shut the doors.
Yeah, it would be like, I
Yeah.
can't do this anymore.
You
This
were
would have
is-
shut the
motivated
doors.
to.
Well, we were motivated. First of all, the demand for our product was huge.
Yeah.
We were creating thousands of new customers on a monthly basis.
Wow.
Which
Just
is
in the bodybuilding space or every.
well, Joyce, you know how our industry works,
Yeah.
right?
Oh, absolutely.
Like the professionals influence the trainers who influence their clients.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So, for all the people who are
Yeah.
snarky towards the bodybuilders when they see them in the parking lot,
Yeah.
Yeah.
you
Guess
pay
where it
their
came
trainers
from.
and their trainers learn from us,
Yeah,
right?
You're,
Kind of
you're
thing.
breaking it down
Right.
for our listeners.
So, right.
Yeah.
Okay.
I just feel like social media, once Instagram started, the bodybuilding world kind of went from here to here.
Because you
Because
had a
now,
visual.
yeah, remember when we were carrying gallons of water in a bag with our food in it, and
Right.
everyone was like, "Oh, you're kind of weird. Like,
Yeah.
why are you doing that for?" And you're like, "Well, I work out, or I train, or I bodybuild, or
Right,
your physique."
I'm
But you were the
hydrated.
weird person. Now all of a sudden, you have all these trending social media people, and not even bodybuilders, they're just gym
Yeah,
rats, right?
gym
And then
rats.
they're doing that, and then all of a sudden, it
It's
just went from
cool.
here to here, and
Yeah.
it becomes cool now.
And I'm glad that you pointed that out, Pete, because you're 1,000,000% correct. And we talked again a little bit before getting on the air, where I grew up in an era where I kept covered.
Yeah.
And part of the reason I kept covered, I didn't mention this, is I didn't want to get gawked at.
Right.
I didn't want to be called, whatever I was called, and they
Yeah.
weren't very, very, pleasurable nicknames.
Yeah, yeah.
People would see you and they would look down on you.
Right.
Of course.
Even at a time where, because it really started in the 90s, where people started getting into working out. I
Yeah.
mean, my first gym had one female in it,
Wow.
one female member.
I
in
believe
the
you.
whole
Blows
gym.
my mind
Believe
to
you.
this day.
Okay,
Blows
and
my
I go to
mind.
the gym, and guys, if you guys are listening, you guys better get your shit together because the girls are doing it.
Yeah.
Like I'll go into gyms,
I'm from
and
the
it is
same school.
70%
Oh,
women.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm from the same
And the
school as
guys,
you
I'm
of
like,
how-
guys, where are you?
Yeah, I see
Right.
that. I see
I
that
It's
now.
started
insane.
by magazines.
Yeah.
I can't think of her name. You can help me. She used to pose with Arnold all the time, and she used to work out at the.
Oh, Rachel McLeish.
Yes.
Yeah, Rachel
That's how
McLeish, sure.
I would
Yeah.
look at those pictures and be
Yeah.
like, why are there no other women that are pushing like this?
It's well, again, look, it's wonderful to see because I am not because you're here, Joyce, but because I have a wife that I love and a daughter who I adore and a
Yes,
mom and a
mom.
sister. Women rule the world.
And because
Yeah.
you're a kind man.
I'm honest.
Yeah.
Yes.
Women rule the world. Okay, so when I go into the gym, I actually said to my wife the other day, I said, put this down because at some point I shared with Pete, I
Yeah.
want to work on a podcast too. I said, put this
I
down
loved it.
as an idea. I said, why are women kicking men's asses in the gym? And it's not just that there's more women to men.
Right.
These women are working out.
Yeah.
And the men are just kind of like doping around, like
Posing
not
against each other. I don't mean front.
Yeah,
double
no, I
bicep.
know what you mean.
I mean
They're just
against each other. They're
And I'm looking and I'm going, holy crap! Like these women, the girl, like high school girls, you
Yeah.
can tell,
Oh, yeah.
they're high
Yeah,
school
I
girls.
train a bunch of 'em.
They are
Yeah.
so into this.
Yeah.
And I'm like, where are the guys playing
You know
games?
what? They're
You
they're
know?
mostly the ones I train. I can tell you, they're intrigued by the strength portion of it, not even by putting on size, but like. I was in school and I couldn't do 10 push-ups, and now I can do 50 without getting tired. They're intrigued by that feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
believe you.
it makes sense. But I love the evolution of fitness is amazing.
Yeah.
And it just I'm extremely pleased to be able to say that I did what I did and I accomplished it. A little part of me wishes that what these other what the younger generation gets to experience, I kind of wish that I was able to experience that.
Yeah.
We're going to do it now and do it in a different way, of course, with the
Okay.
business and all the other stuff. But man, can you imagine having that kind of platform
Oh man.
20, 30
it'd be
years
awesome,
ago?
man.
We always
when-
talk about it, how
Yeah.
we used to advertise in the paper,
Yeah.
and now it's like everything's free.
Yeah.
You got
You're,
the
but
visual.
you're
you have-
100% correct, Carla, because I remember not knowing what to eat when I was working out, and
Yeah,
I
how would
would
you?
ask. I think my gym teacher was like, "Just go eat a bagel with cream cheese," and I was like, "Oh, all right, cool." But like, you know what I mean? Like, no one had. You had to ask
Yeah.
different people, or you had to pick up a Men's Fitness
Yeah.
or bodybuilding
Something.
magazine and look through it, and
Yeah.
you saw so and so's regimen, so you follow
Yeah.
that. And
You know how I figured
know?
it out? When I walked into my first off, I started working out in high school. My high school was the first. It was Bloomfield. They were the first high school to allow. You know how you have a program of 6 week soccer, 6 weeks. They were the first one to allow the girls to do 6 weeks of weightlifting, and it was the oldest, dirtiest weights
Yeah.
you
Oh,
could
it's
ever
filthy,
see. And
yeah.
all of
Rusty,
the girls were
crusted,
like,
rusted.
"No thanks, we'll stick to the soccer." And I was
Yeah.
like, "I'll try it." So I was the only girl of like 6 boys, and they were all like, "Let's do it." None of us had good form. Our gym teacher was also our English teacher and our math teacher and the wrestling coach. So
Right.
he didn't know. He was going by what his
He's
father
just
said. He was
there,
doing the
yeah.
best he could. We got in there. We didn't get hurt, so we were doing good. And I just remember the power of being able to do my first 10 pull-ups in a row with nobody holding my feet. My power of being able to bench press, to squat, to do a bicep curl with a bar. I was like, you can't. I'm never going back.
Yeah.
Never going back. And I was 16.
Yeah, I get that, and again, I've missed that for a while, guys. I shared, and listen, when I say I've gotten into it for a week or two,
Yeah.
as far as 3 and 4 weeks, and then something has gotten in the way. And I've
Yeah,
gotten
of
out.
course. Like,
And life got in the way, but I got in the way.
Yeah.
I wasn't mentally strong enough at the time.
Right, you gotta-
I
the
wasn't
mindset
focused
has to be
enough
there.
to say, nope, sorry, I got to figure out a different way.
Right.
So I let the moment of the day get in the way, and just didn't push forward. But
Right.
I'm happy to be back. I can honestly tell you, I haven't enjoyed training this much since 2007.
I've been watching you train
Thank
on
you.
social media.
Yeah, I'm having a lot of fun. And the goal, obviously, is not really to compete, though I'm not dead set against it. If I get there, I get
Okay.
there.
Awesome.
But it's certainly to get into top shape,
Yeah.
kind of like I was.
And
just
is it
for
to
all
keep
of
the mindset to
a bunch of different reasons.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. First and foremost, I need this for me.
yeah.
Yeah.
I've done a lot for my business. I've done a lot for my family. I need this for me. Now, this
Yeah.
is for Carlo. Okay. The better Carlo is, the better he's going to be for his businesses, and the better he's going to be
Absolutely.
for his family.
Absolutely.
And I've already, in a very short time, I've already started to notice that.
Right.
I walk into meetings on a daily basis. If I don't have the confidence to have these conversations with some pretty powerful
No one's gonna
guys
take you serious.
and
Yeah.
very important decision makers,
Yep.
and it's not about looking strong
Right.
or any of that. So
Right.
please don't get it misconstrued.
No, listen, it's
not
about
the
being
physical.
your best.
It's
You
about
walk differently when you feel different.
Right. It's about this morning. I shared with you some of the challenges that
Yeah.
I had. right?
Tell us about your day. Go ahead.
Yeah. Oh shit. Yeah. You want to? So you know, I
This
live.
is what entrepreneurs go through,
Yeah.
and you're here
Yeah.
and you're pushing.
Yeah, let me share it with you.
People wanna hear this.
Yeah. So I live in northern Jersey. For those who don't know, I live on the Rockland and Bergen County border of
Yeah.
New Jersey. So that from the George Washington Bridge, which you would need to get across to get onto or into the boroughs of New York, particularly Long Island, you have to get through two bridges.
Yeah.
That's a 35-minute ride just to the bridge. So I typically, when I have a meeting in there, I'll go in the night before, have a dinner, and just get a good night's sleep,
Right.
and then go to my meeting. So that's what I did, and you know, was in early last night and got into bed early. Was ready for my meetings. I had a 10 o'clock and then a 12:30, both on Long Island, about 30 minutes apart. And when I go to get into my car this morning, well, I woke up, I got my cardio in, got my workout in. Got back to the
Still
room,
managed to work
showered.
out.
Yeah,
Love it.
managed to get the workout and had a really great workout actually. And you know, took my shower, got myself dressed, got down to the car. I hit the start button and the car's dead. And
Shit.
again, I was only 15 minutes from from my meeting space,
Right.
so I was fortunate enough. I said, okay, I have this meeting and then that meeting. But what I did is I called an Uber, got myself over to the first meeting, took an Uber to the second meeting,
Yep.
took
Switch
an
the
Uber
mindset.
back.
Yeah.
But a couple things there, right? Because, and I want to share this because it's about perspective
Please.
and it's about reality.
Yes.
And I'm going to share a story, and I hope I don't get choked up sharing it. But
If you do, it's reality.
yeah. So I get into the car. I get into the first Uber ride this morning, and you know, I requested a quiet ride. It was actually Lyft.
Yeah.
I don't know if I haven't used Uber in a while. I
Yeah.
actually took a Lyft.
Oh, that's
So I requested a quiet ride, and when I got in the car, I contacted my assistant. I said, "Listen, I'm just letting you know I'm having some car trouble. I may need you to call Joyce and let her know that I may not make it on time."
Okay.
You know, and she said, "Okay, no problem. Just forward me the email so I have her phone number." I get in the car, and I request a quiet ride. And the gentleman didn't say boo, really didn't say a word. He didn't say anything. So I stopped, and something made me want to ask him how he was doing. So I said, "How are you today?" And he said, "Thank you for asking. I'm okay." He said, "You know, you requested a quiet ride, so I didn't want to say anything, you know." And I said, "Yeah." I said, I got in from New Jersey yesterday. I have a couple of meetings today. I said, and I went in to start my car, and the battery's dead."
Yeah.
And he said, "Oh, I'm sorry to hear that." So I wait a few minutes, and I said, "Where are you from?" And he said, "Oh, Iran." I said, "Okay." He said, "I've been here 6 months." I said, "Really?" He said, "We lost a lot of our family with the war that's going on, you know." He said, "So it was really just my wife and I left, so we decided to come to America to have a better opportunity for our future family."
Right.
I said, "Well, that's amazing." I said, "That's great. I hope it all works out for you. Welcome to America."
Right.
And he said, "Yeah." He said, "I'm not sure about the family part, And I said, "Well, why not?" He was a pretty young guy.
Right.
I didn't ask him how old he was. He said, "Well, my wife was diagnosed with cancer a couple weeks
Oh
ago."
my
Oh,
God.
wow. It's horrible.
So, again, now I'm sitting in the back of that car,
Puts
and
things
I'm
in
going,
perspective.
here I am requesting a quiet ride because my battery wouldn't
Right.
start.
Doesn't
Right.
seem so big.
Long Island, couple hours away from home at worst, But geez, this guy's out here trying to make a living, and he's gotten, what would be the most horrifying news
Yeah.
ever for most people.
Yeah.
But again, just the perspective that you need, because as soon as I heard that,
It switched your mind.
I was just like, this is going to be a great
Yeah.
day.
Yeah.
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 It really, I was like,
you
this is
were
going
supposed to ask that.
Yeah. I was like, Jesus, this is going to be a great day. And of course, I did my best to take care of him on the way out. But he was just so grateful, and it was just so funny. Again, and I don't want to get too deep into the whole
Yeah.
Jesus crazy politics thing in this world that
Yeah.
we live in, right?
Yeah. Please don't.
But he just turned around when he left and smiled and shook my hand and said, "Thank you for talking to me. It was really
nice.
nice to
Wow.
get to know you."
Just a genuine conversation.
Just a genuine
Two men.
conversation. Two guys who,
Different.
they're
Yeah.
fleeing a country because they just want a better opportunity, which
Right.
is not an unlikely story.
Well,
right?
we've said
Right.
this before. If you take your
Exactly.
problems, put them on a table with everyone else's, you'll fight to get
You
yours
want your
back.
problems back.
Right?
Perfect.
Yeah.
Right?
We've said that
Perfectly said.
before here.
Yeah. Yeah. If you think you have problems, walk in somebody else's shoes
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
a couple of minutes.
You
Absolutely.
will
jump right
run
back
to get
into
back yours.
Yeah.
Give me those. Give me
100%.
that back.
I had that moment this morning.
Yeah,
Wow.
that's exactly what it seems
You were
like.
supposed
Really?
to have that.
Yeah,
before your
100%.
meetings, Yeah. You
I
went in
this
there
yeah, because this
confident and-
morning I was just
Yeah.
like, You got to be kidding me. I came in here yesterday. I did this. I did that. Here we go.
Yeah.
Car's fairly new, by the way.
Yeah.
You know, who expects that to
Yeah, you
happen?
don't expect that.
Exactly.
And then the guy shares with me that tidbit of information, and I was just like, Jesus. You know, I was like,
I might so
I'm
upset.
having a good day.
Yeah.
I'm not
Yeah.
having a bad
Yeah.
day. I'm having a good day. But
So tell us where the chicken pound's going.
So, you know, very
Besides the
exciting.
burgers, I'm excited about the burgers.
Very exciting stuff. I mean, you know, we have a strong presence online on e-commerce.
You do.
And
You
we
bet you
built
do.
the entire
Very.
company
Yeah.
on that. And we're very proud of that. So we're very, very fortunate. But we want to get us into retail. And that was the second part of my meeting today,
Okay.
is to get distribution for the product.
Okay.
And it looks like we'll be in about 65 or so supermarkets come the new year in the
Wow,
New York City
congrats.
area.
Congrats.
In the boroughs, and
That's
5
huge.
boroughs.
Carlo, that's amazing.
Thank you.
Good
And
for
then
you.
we have some other things.
Started from the bottom, now we're here.
Yeah. We have some marinades that we're launching that'll complement the chicken products. I think those will be ready by.
Wow, so it'll be
mid
like
to-
chicken pound marinades?
Excuse me.
the-
Yes, it'll be the actual marinades that we use for
Right.
our chicken.
You'll sell.
Will sell.
So you
Oh, that's
said a while
awesome.
back, when you sat down, that you said something to the effect of, how do you build on and keep doing it? You're doing it.
Yeah.
You're
Listen, I'm
doing
going to be
it. You're really-
completely transparent here. Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. But you know, you have to think a little bit, not outside of the box, right? Because you would typically say, you know, keep it simple, stupid,
Yeah.
right? What the other part of the reason I didn't get too deep into the details. You know, we sold our previous meal prep company
Right.
in favor of me just concentrating on the chicken pound.
Okay.
And you know, I did that because it was simple. It was, we're going to do one product, and
Right.
we're going to do one product great.
I think that's great. Yeah.
And thank you. But what happened when the prices went up in the
Right.
market? We almost got buried
Right.
Yeah.
because we didn't have any ancillary products to sell.
Right.
So,
What comes
Gotcha.
next?
right? So for 4 years, we're riding high. We're 3.5 years, we're
Right.
riding high, and we're selling chicken. And chicken is a product that, you know, the needle may move a little bit, but it'll
Yeah.
come back down.
Yep.
Historically, right? I've been in the food business for 30 years.
Right.
Who expected that to happen? And there was, again, a little bit of ill-preparedness on our end because I was new in the industry
Right.
and didn't realize, like, hey, day one, go get your contract pricing before you do anything else. You're using 60, 70,
Right.
80,000 pounds of chicken a month. You deserve contract pricing.
Absolutely.
And, you know, we didn't solidify that. That's my fault.
Right.
Yeah.
So I had to
you
learn
learn from
I had to learn a very, very
Yeah.
valuable lesson. But that's why we're looking now
Right.
for things like the burgers,
What
and things
makes
like
you-
the marinades.
What makes you never give up? What makes you keep pushing when things like that happen?
Yeah, I just love the feeling of accomplishment.
Okay.
You know, when you put, you know, it was that, and not necessarily, especially at this stage in my life, right? I'm 53 years old. You know, when I entered my first bodybuilding contest, the story that I shared with you, I competed on my 22nd birthday. That was to shut somebody up, right? Because I was young and I was a little bit ignorant.
Yeah.
But I also think, you know, I'm a big believer in, again, I won't get too deep into religion, but I'm a big believer in God and
Okay.
that God puts you in different places
Listen,
and
I'm there
different
with you.
situations
Yeah.
to teach you lessons, right?
Absolutely.
And I felt
I was
like,
listening to my Audible Bible on the way here.
there you go. Okay. I felt like at the age that I was challenged, I needed that challenge in my life.
Okay.
Because I've been able to apply the lessons that I learned in bodybuilding to everything.
Yeah.
I was just about to ask you that because in bodybuilding, you diet for, let's say, 12 weeks, and then you compete, right? And then you
Yeah.
take third place. And then what do you do the day after that? You say,
Right.
all right, let me look at what I did. So the next time I go around, I'm going to tweak A, B, C, and D.
Right.
And then you do
Absolutely.
that, and then you take first place list.
So next
Right.
time you diet 16 weeks
Right.
Right.
instead of 12 so that you
Right.
finish first.
Or you prolong it, right?
Yeah, or you up your cardio.
Yeah.
But you're always
Well,
switching
again,
things
that's
around.
that's just an example, but and I'm
And you
sorry.
relate that to your business.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
You
I
it's
love
it's
that.
a trial and error, and
That's great, Pete. I
yeah,
love that.
So that's what I was talking about with resolutions. Everything's 16
Got
weeks.
it. Got
So
it.
I'm what I said earlier in a different one that we recorded was people make these resolutions and it's like 52 weeks. It's too long. So I think you should have 4 years in a 4 new years in a year.
Yeah.
16 weeks.
Yeah, break it down into quarters.
If it doesn't work out, let's say you're trying to lose 30 pounds, we've mentioned.
Yeah.
All right, you lost 27. All right, cool. I look at what I did in these 16 weeks. All right, that's, we switch things up. Now, April 1st till the end of June, I'm going to do this.
Let's take it a step further, if I can.
Sure.
And this is something that I applied, Joyce. And as a coach, you may be doing something like this similarly. And I did, by the way, I did do a lot of coaching for a period of 3.5 years when
Give
I was
it to
going
us.
through my separation with my previous meal prep company and starting to formulate my own company. There was a 3-year period where I did a lot of coaching, and I actually turned 9 other people professional as a coach.
Good for you.
So I did that in a 3-year period with very limited clientele. But there was a demand then for my coaching. So,
Right.
And it was not exclusive to competitors, right? Kind of like what you do. I ask people when they walk in to do this, take a sheet of paper, draw a line down the middle, okay? And I want you to put your good meals on the left and the bad meals on the right.
Okay.
Because if you ask most people, they think they're eating good
Yeah.
at 50% of the time,
All the time. Yeah.
okay?
You're so right.
So truthfully, I'm going to be as bold to say that you should do this every day. And if you're at 50-50, you're maintaining.
Yeah.
And as you get older,
Right. What's the goal?
you regress.
Right.
Right? You're okay at 50-50 if you're in your 20s.
Right.
Okay?
Absolutely.
Early
Metabolism is a little
30s. But
different.
when you cross over 36, 37, 38, in
Yeah.
that 40s, 50-50 is not good anymore. Okay? When you hit your 50s,
You're losing.
you're
at
done.
50-50. Yeah.
Okay? So I challenge people and I say, your goals should be broken down on a day-by-day, on a week-by-week
I like
basis.
that.
Okay? And the first thing that you do is it gives you real-time accountability for what you did that day.
Right.
And whether you had a good day, a great day, a mediocre day, or a really bad day.
Right.
Now, the trick is you can't get upset after a bad day
Right.
or two.
It happens.
Right.
But if you really want to get on a horse, you have to understand that you have to be at that 80% mark. Okay? So you're having 5 meals a day. After 2 days, if 80% of those meals are good, you're doing okay.
Right.
You're going to be okay. You're going to see some progress. You're going to see some results. If you could bump it up to 90, you're going to see a little bit more results. You function at 100% after being at 80 and 90 for a period of time, then you turn it on. You talked about how many weeks do you diet, right? Well, the most successful year I ever had in bodybuilding was 2007. And I was fearless and fierce when I competed, both, okay? You understand this really, really well, Joyce. I entered 12 regional shows,
Wow.
okay? The first show I ever competed at, I placed 3rd in a weight class above what was
Right.
was my typical weight class. I weighed 135 pounds.
Wow.
I was competing against guys 154.
Wow.
My second contest, I finished 2nd, again, in a weight class above me.
Mm-hmm.
My third contest, which was that 1993 Mr. New Jersey,
Yeah.
after that, I won 12 straight regional shows. I didn't lose one.
Awesome.
And it's just because of that preparedness that I
Yes.
practiced.
Yep.
I said, okay. And when I knew that people were saying, diet 8 weeks, diet 10 weeks, I was
Yeah.
like, well, I'm going to diet 12.
Exactly.
Well, I'm going to
Yeah.
diet 16.
You keep going.
And I'm going to be ready beforehand. And
Yeah.
I'm going to beat you because I'm going to be better. Not necessarily bigger,
Right.
but I'm going to
But
be
better.
on point. And I'm
Yep.
going to be better. In 2007, circling back to that, at that point, I was already small tidbit of information. I wrote for Muscle Mag for 10
Oh, did
years.
you?
I had my own
Okay.
column. That's how I got the Muscle Chef
All
moniker.
right. I love
so
that.
Robert Kennedy from
Yeah.
Muscle Mag International, you
Yep.
probably remember that publication.
course. Yeah.
It was actually the largest distributed bodybuilding
Yeah.
magazine
I
worldwide.
got a couple of bodybuilders in that magazine.
Yeah, yes, I'm sure. No, you were in some. I know I've seen you in
Yeah.
some magazines. Okay, we'll talk about
Yeah.
that when we're done here. But I started. Well, Robert Kennedy started my cooking column in 2002 for Muscle
Wow.
Mag, and I did that for them until 2010.
That's
And then
awesome.
from there, I moved on to muscular development and flex and muscle and fitness.
Yeah.
So I wrote a bunch of columns for those guys. But my point in bringing that up really was I had placed 3rd at the Nationals, NPC Nationals in 2005.
Mm-hmm.
And that was really just, I was ready to be done. And I said, you know what? You owe it to yourself to give a pro card one shot.
Right.
Give it a shot. If you're close, you decide whether you want to do it again.
Right.
If you bomb, you're out, okay? And I always was very, I did the junior level stuff. And I tied at the junior nationals and wound up in 2nd on a tiebreaker.
Mm-hmm.
Was 5th at the USA one year. But I never did the nationals because I never had pro aspirations,
Okay.
if that makes any sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because at the time, there was no 212 bodybuilding
Right.
division, and there was no classic physique.
Right.
Now, if there was a classic physique division, I would have been all about it because
Right.
that's what I loved.
That's what you loved,
was the
yeah.
silhouettes and the shape and
Yeah.
all that, right? But there was none of that. Okay, and they only introduced the 212 division in 2007,
Yeah.
actually. And so I wound up going into the nationals, and I wound up placing third. And Jose Raymond, who wound up being one of the best smaller bodybuilders ever, won the class. And then it was actually tied for second between me and the guy who eventually finished in second.
Right.
He got the nod there. I finished third. So after being that close in 2005, I put all my eggs in one basket. And that I can honestly say, for those of you who are looking for work-life balance, right? I put all my eggs in that basket where I neglected my business, neglected my family, neglected my personal life, my personal relationships in favor of a bodybuilding contest. And boy, did I learn a very valuable lesson, because that following year, I got smacked down to 7th place.
Yeah.
Okay, irritated, upset. I pulled myself together. I literally was in Miami, Florida, and arrogantly, I guess, booked to stay for an extra 3 days, thinking that I would have these tons of photo shoots after I won. That didn't happen because I didn't win.
Right.
So I wound up getting on the next plane I could on Sunday morning, come home, took my beating, and said, I'm going to the gym tomorrow, and we're going to figure this out.
You figure it out.
And then I called a good friend of mine, Dave Palumbo.
I know Dave.
Yeah, you know Dave well, I'm sure. And called him up. I said, Dave, you're at the show. He said, Carlo, you need it to be tighter. You know that. I said, okay. I said, I'm going to take a couple of months off thinking of bodybuilding. I said, but I'm going to call you when I'm ready.
Okay.
So lo and behold, right in January, I called him up. I said, Dave, can I win this? And he said, you have as good a shot as anybody. You just got to come in shape. I said, all right, well, can we work together? So I hired him right there. We went to work. It was January 6th or 7th. So from January 6th or 7th, right through the Sunday after Thanksgiving that year, which I believe was November 29th, I did not shy away from what was on my program, not for a day. I think I had some
11
allocated
months.
cheat meals here and there. There was a Wednesday cheat, and then there
Right,
was a
but
Sunday
limited.
cheat, but
Right.
that was it. It was 11 months of just preparation, and it all came to
You
fruition.
got your pro card.
Got my pro card, and then I got excited because I got my pro card, and as soon as I got my pro card, Robert Kennedy called and said, I want you to go to California. We need photos, and I said, okay. So right from it was Dallas. Right from Dallas, I went to it wasn't California, it was Vegas. I'm sorry. I need you to go to Vegas. So I went to Vegas and did all my photo shoots for 3 days. So
What a great feeling that
won the
must have
national,
been.
and I got a couple of meals in there, one in the morning the next day, and one at night after the contest. But the point was, it's preparation.
With anything,
Lay
even
out a
in your
program,
business.
work the plan, make your plan and then work the plan, right?
Yeah.
It's if you fail to do that, whether in bodybuilding, whether in life, whether in your relationship, whatever, you can apply bodybuilding and the structure and the necessity for that structure in everything that you do.
Everything that
And
you do.
will be uber successful in everything
Uber
that you
successful.
do. And then you don't take no for an answer,
Yep.
right? Like you just have to continue to figure out what it is that's going to make something successful. Because sometimes, right, and a very dear friend of mine shares this with me, when we talk about the success of the chicken pound, he said, it was there all along. You sold chicken for how long?
Yeah.
It was there all along.
You just had a
It
piece
just needed to be pulled out and changed and tweaked, and now all of a sudden you're selling hundreds of thousands of pounds
That's
Of
amazing.
chicken.
of chicken. We did a little over $1 million
The
last
chicken
year.
pound. Carlo,
So,
you're amazing.
nice.
Thank you, Joyce.
And I think
You're
we're going to
amazing.
end that here.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. So
And
great
Thank
we
to
you,
would
be
Carlo.
with
like you to
guys.
know that we're on Apple, Google, and visible on Spotify and YouTube. So if this is something that resonates with you, please join our community, because we promise the best is yet to come.
Yes, it is.
Thank you, guys.
All right.